time where we're going to ask all of our speakers to come up together. If you want to bring your water, you're more than welcome to. And I would love to hear from you all. What questions do you have for our esteemed panel? Yes.
For Frenchie, why did you take the bar in Washington, D.C. the third time?
I'm so glad you asked that. When I took the bar in North Carolina, it was you had to take the bar based on the state where you were. There were some states that had a UBE, which is a universal bar exam. What that allowed you to do is, if you take it in this particular state and your score is high enough across all the other states, you don't have to take it in the other states. So now most of them are a UBE. So you can take a North Carolina, and if your score is high enough, you can do it in every other state. That's why I went to D.C.
Does anybody understand why the first thing I said when I came in here was, I am not following Frenchie?
There is a reason that we put Ms. Brown at the end.
Smart.
Denise.
Yes.
Can I do something real quick?
Absolutely.
This has nothing to do with that. I'm glad I ain't following Frenchie. Now I'm glad you put me first.
There you go.
But I wanted to clarify something. So earlier, Frenchie, you heard me say I was still paying.
Yes.
Well, I'm not paying for me. I'm paying for a student.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I realized something else, especially with this being on video. So there's a beautiful young woman back there with orange.
Yes.
That she probably was thinking I've been smiling, I've been waving, and I was just like, somebody's gonna have us on camera, and my wife or her husband is gonna jump up and beat me to death. I'm smiling and waving at the little girl in front of you, who is always gonna be my little girl. So that's my daughter Brianna, and now you gotta wave your hand and stand up and say, it's interesting because y'all never had a problem getting you to talk or stand up. But anyway, so young woman behind you are beautiful. But that's the person I'm waving and shaking and all that stuff at. So that's for the video because I am in elected office and I didn't want us to end up on a mailer.
You better get that right.
Excellent. All right, so other questions do we have for our panelists? Like, do you want to know how they got into what they're doing? Here we go.
It's going to be a little random. My name is Alexander Fuentes. I am here trying to be an accountant. Oh my gosh.
I tried that and failed.
Let's hope I don't do the same. But I did want to ask, I didn't know that a lot of you are very funny. I was laughing the entire time. How big of an emphasis do you think humor is in closing a deal? Because I feel like I've never really thought about it before, but I know someone has laughed me into a decision. So
Well, I've done lots of deals in my life, and humor is disarming. It's a wonderful thing, and you better learn how to use it. The single most important thing in doing a deal, though, is right there. Is hearing what the other side wants and understanding what they want and then trying to figure out a way to meet their needs. Because if you can't meet their needs, you're not going to get the deal done. It's that simple. So that is the single most important thing.
And it helps in interviews too, because you'll be memorable, but you have to be careful because you don't want to come off as unprofessional. So it has to be authentic and appropriate, but it is endearing.
And the last thing I would add in that respect, for me, it shows people that you're not taking yourself too seriously. And I think that is a very important characteristic. I'll admit that when I've been interviewed for jobs, but also when I'm interviewing, it's nice to see somebody who's coming in not saying, I'm the smartest person you've ever had a chance to be around, right?
Right.
And so I think humor kind of helps people say that, okay, this is a regular person I'm dealing with, and it's good. But again, don't be unprofessional and say, oh man, look at that hair you got going on, man. What's wrong with the hair? Why don't you do that? Like I wouldn't do that. Or do like I did with my first interview where my boss asked me where I was going to be 5 years from now, and I said, your job. And I didn't mean it like that.
Did you get that job?
I did get the job. He was proud. He was like, man, you're serious.
He was looking to retire.
Yeah. Well, that's what I told him. I was like, I knew he at some point was going to be running to be a judge. I actually knew that. And he is a judge, still a judge now. But I was just like, I mean, you're not going to be here.
What's hair? What's hair?
Hair?
Hair.
What is that?
Yeah, trust me, I've lost all of it. My daughter reminds me every time she sees me. Thank you.
Other questions? Yeah.
So this is for Ms. Frenchie, but really all of you. All of you mentioned failure, but not only failure, repeated failure. So when do you know the difference of you keep failing and something's not for you, or you keep failing and you need to keep trying until you kind of break that ice?
That's a good question.
Good question.
I'm gonna take it first only because you called my name first. Thank you so much. With me, I know that law is what I'm supposed to do. However, it may not be in the capacity that I thought it was supposed to be in. So I'm gonna be very transparent with you. With the things that are happening now in our economy, I'm looking at my law degree crazy. I'm like, well, does it really matter? I mean, what's really going on, right? Because I'm really concerned about a lot of things that are happening. And this is not to go against Democrat, Republican, I'm independent. It's just a lot of things are happening in the world, and I'm trying to figure out how do I utilize my law degree. So that means for me that, Frenchie, it may not be that you're actually going to be doing the public interest the way you thought. You may be doing it a little bit differently. So it's a matter of me just figuring out what my passion and my purpose is, which I think all of you should. I spoke recently at the university. I talked about your purpose, your passion, your plan, and your perseverance, because those 4 Ps are very important. So again, it's just determining, is this how I'm going to utilize it, or do I do something else differently? And be flexible and nimble to do it.
So, as a CEO of a big company, part of our culture was a culture that we encouraged failure. We encouraged people to take chances. I used to walk around, we had companies in 29 states, and I'd go, constantly was on the road visiting people. And I'd always have 4 or 5 $100 bills in my pocket. I'd always have these jackets that we had in the company that were like real icons. They were called Rebel jackets, named for a movie, Rebel Without a Cause, which I think James Dean was in many years ago, before any of you guys were even thought about. And that is just a great movie, but we established something in our company called the Rebel Award. You got this jacket. There's a leather jacket, really cool, embossed with the company's, blind embossed with the company's logo on it. And you got that for doing something really out of the box. And you got the $200 because I'd be at your place in Ellensburg, Washington, for instance. I remember one time there, and somebody told about something someone had done, and I found a guy and gave him $200, and that night, he and his family were at dinner at the same place I was, and he was using the $200 for dinner. We were encouraging people to take chances and to fail one time. You can fail over and over again, just don't fail doing the same thing over and over again. Learn from it, grow from it, and try something new. Fail from it, learn from it, grow from it, and try something new. And that's the way you grow, and that's the way our company grows, and it's the way you're successful. I've failed so many times, it's unbelievable. Hopefully, I've not made the same mistake twice.
Can I speak to that real quick? Because I know y'all probably sitting there saying, well, Frenchie, you done failed 4 times. Well, you know. I know, I felt it right here in your show now. Here's what I would say to you. I failed the bar 4 times, but every time that I took it over, my score got better. My score got better. I went into it with a different mentality. I did something different. I was able to identify the red herring. Don't focus your time on that when you're doing your IRAD. So I am learning. I just haven't done that final accomplishment yet. So again, just don't want you to walk away with like, well, dang, you just put Frenchie on Shade Street, right? We're good, but thank you for that.
And the cartoon slide that I had, I mentioned something called Positive Intelligence. It's a book. It's Shirzad something is the guy that wrote it, but it's a whole like way of thinking. And the reason I say that is because you can have bad thoughts, they call them saboteurs, or you can have uplifting, healthy thoughts called sages. And that question, today, if I answered it, I'd be like, well, have a monologue with your sages and figure out what they're telling you. Do you you flash forward and you look back, how do you want to have handled the moment there? Where can you be curious, act like a kid again? Like, versus listening to those, victim, perfectionist, controller, all that kind of stuff. So if I had answered that question before this, I probably would have said, well, how does it feel? But I don't think my gut would have known the difference between an orange voice or a green voice. So that book has been super helpful.
Great. Other questions?
there's a young lady in the green sweatshirt back here, I saw her
Okay.
hand up earlier. We'll do that as well.
Hello, my name is Jade. I feel like a lot of us in here are like validated by our academics. Is there any advice you'd give, like, for any people that need academic validation when failures a thing that is gonna happen eventually?
I'm not qualified to answer that. I have the same problem.
Well, I'll start. When I was a junior in high school, and at the end of the semester came and we got our final grades, before the grades were posted, my English teacher came to me and said, "You failed." And she said, "But you know, you're way too smart to be failing. And what you've been doing is screwing around all year. So I'm going to give you an option. You can go to summer school, and you can take I'll pass you. You go to summer school, you take both semesters of summer school, taking English, 12th grade English, and if you do that, I'll pass you." Well, yeah, who wants to go to summer school when you're a senior in high school and spend your whole summer in summer school? But I did, and it was a huge lesson for me. I learned a lot from that. I graduated from here with honors, and you know,
That's it.
you learn. You screw up. If you don't screw up, then you are not doing anything. So do stuff, screw up, but learn from it.
And that would be my thing. Oh, sorry. go ahead.
I would say make a safety net. I talked about finances, like make yourself a little base camp so when you do fail, you're not,
Yeah.
you know, too far.
And I can tell you, I'm probably felt what you're talking about more intensely because literally blew through K through 12, got a double scholarship at Chapel Hill, blew through those first couple semesters, and even when I wasn't blowing through the semesters, I wasn't blowing through the semesters because I was enjoying Chapel Hill, like Frenchie was talking about. You know, I didn't keep a scholarship, but that was it because, I mean, I just enjoyed Chapel Hill. Where I got my was when I got to law school. And so I got to law school, we had a first semester, and I felt good about law school. Like we would have our class, I'm like, bam, I can answer these questions, I got this, and just understood everything. Had a professor, Richard Rosen, loved him. I have to see him probably 2 years ago now on the campaign trail. And you know, still remember, we talked about a lot of our old discussions. But when they were doing the grades, they posted your grades. But I can't remember which one of these I screwed up. But they posted it by one identification number, and I thought they posted by the other identification number. So I went in, and you know, I'm looking at my grades, I'm like, oh, A, yeah, A, yeah, A, yeah.
I deserve that.
B? Rosen? What is wrong? This is crazy. I'm like, I don't do this. And so, you know, I went, rolling, I'm just like, well, what's going on? He's like, you're looking at the wrong number. Well, I saw what my actual grades were. I called my father and said, I quit. I'm done with law school because this clearly isn't me. And the reason I tell you that story is because it turns out law was for me. What it turned out is I needed to apply myself. I needed to change the thinking. And that goes back to this gentleman's question here about failure, and I think this is a real thing. Sometimes you've got to look at why the failure happened. And so I had to change. Law school changes the way you think. All of us that have been here to law school, that's the whole point of law school, is you walk in and you can be a genius, but they're trying to change the way that you approach problems and think. And so you're going to screw up. And then the other thing you got to accept is trust me. This goes back to what you were saying about finances. We have a really bad habit of comparing ourselves to each other. And you have no idea. So like you've got some friend that's got what, I don't even know what you guys grades do anymore. Like 4 or 5 or whatever, you know, all we have is ABC. You know, but you know, you've got somebody who's top of the class and all this kind of stuff. What you don't know is that they're studying 18 hours a day. You know, you don't know that this is all they do. They haven't met a soul on campus. You know, they haven't, you know, they're things that you've chosen because really what you're going to accomplish in life is about what you're willing to sacrifice. And sacrifice is good, but not all sacrifices are good. Like I would say for all of you, except my daughter, enjoy college. Enjoy college. But yeah, you know, because it's great to walk out of here with a 4.0, but again, I'm gonna tell you, and I hope that you can do both. I hope you can enjoy college and do a 4.0, but I do look at resumes to see experiences. Because what you're going to realize when you walk out of here is no matter how brilliant you are, if you cannot relate to people who are not you, you're going to experience a lot of failure. And you're going to be sitting around wondering why. And so that, to me, the experience, and in fairness to her, we were talking about this yesterday, and she was just saying about the experience of college means so much. Like it's so different you guys getting to go at this age than, you know, having to go 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Because you can enjoy college, you can enjoy people, and make some lifelong friendships.
I want to add one other thing. When I was a senior in college, I told you about Tom Turner a few minutes ago, the Turner School of Accountancy. I was his grader, and we got to be pretty good friends, and were until literally the day he died. I actually put together his funeral arrangements. But I was extremely good accounting student, business student. I was like top of the class in accounting, absolute top of the class. And but I didn't spend much time on anything else. And I remember I was taking a class, I can't remember what it is now, but it was a pretty easy class, but it was something, you know, took an easy elective. One day I come in to grade some papers for Tom, and he said, well, Gene, how'd that exam go you had last week? And I said, well, Tom, not so good, I got a 32 on it. He said, 32? I thought you told me it was multiple choice. And I said, oh, no, true or false. He said, I thought you told me it was true or false. And I said, well, it was. He says, well, hell, I could have guessed and got half of them right. So there you go. But I knew where to really put the effort in, and I worked really hard where I needed to, and admittedly slacked off a little places where I didn't have to.
Let me just say something. For those of you who are not doing as well as you want, and address you as well, because I was chairman of the Board of Law Examiners. I'm retired chair of Board of Law Examiners. And I will tell you on authority, your grades in your class says one thing about you. It just says how well you take a test or how well you respond as a student. That is all it says about you. If I could go to school forever and that could be my job, I would do that because I'm good at tests and I'm good at school. But that doesn't say anything else about you. The bar exam tells you how well you take a test, especially the multiple-choice part. I know that, and I understand that. So don't ever read too much into the fact that you didn't get the grade that you thought you should, because you probably won't remember it, nobody else will remember it, and it really doesn't say anything about you. Now, I don't want to say good grades are not something to shoot for, but a bad grade, that's all it says about you, and just remember that.
The old saw about honor students is that they're going to be working for the C and D students. Doing all the heavy lifting.
We have one more question, right?
Boy, lady in the green.
Yes, there we go. All right, and this will probably be our wrap-up.
Hi, my name is Jaden. My question is for Judge Herrick. You mentioned that you were timid. What made you go into education first? And to follow up on that, was there a specific experience that made you think, I want to go into law rather than stay in education?
Everything that I ever did that wasn't really me, that I was afraid of, I would say I did it because even though it was hard, I realized I was good at it. And it was something that I needed to just get past whatever I was afraid of. And once I did it and got to the other side, I was like, it wasn't so bad. And the feeling that you went into something with a lot of anxiety or fear, and then you get to the other side and you realize not only was that not as hard as I thought it would be, or it might have been as hard as you thought it was going to be, and then you did it anyway, is just, I can't think of much better of a feeling for you to have. I mean, it's just, you know, jump in, just do it. I don't know, we did play teacher when we were growing up, so it was kind of a dream I had, and then out there, and I just really liked it. So, you know, just knowing that it's going to be hard, but how you're going to feel once you get there is very motivating. It'll keep you going, even when you're ready to just say, oh, forget it.
If I could add to what this, thank you for that, there's two things I will call out. Fear, false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Do it afraid. Do it afraid. Get out the boat, walk on the water. Do it afraid. Do not let that stagnate you. Do not let that stop you. My goddaughter graduated from, one of my goddaughters graduated from NC State. I want to go back to the other question around the competition. Graduated, I don't even know, y'all can have a GPA to 6 point, whatever the case may be. Very high. She gets to NC State and she realized she's in class with everybody else who graduated with a 6 point, 7 point, 8 point. So she started having all these anxieties, right? Things she never experienced while we were home at Winston. And so me and my best friend had to take turns to go up there and hang out with her and love on her. And I really just had to shake her up. Girl, get yourself together. Now, you've been around us, we strong women, you're going to make it work. And if you don't get the highest grade, you're still amazing, you're still wonderful, you're still beautiful, you're still great. But just give yourself some grace. Because, girl, I ain't going to be burning up at 5 to be coming up here every other weekend. So, do it afraid. False evidence appearing real. Don't fall for all this. Let this go. You're going to see all these people on here flexing, they ain't got nothing. Okay? So let this go. Stop comparing yourself to that. And focus on this is what I can do, this is how I can do it, and ask for help. Go to the courses. Go where your TA is. Take off the Superwoman, Superman cape. You don't have to be Captain America. Go and get you some help. Like I told you, my GPA, no, I was never on probation. Now, and I want to be clear. But I knew I could have done better. But just give yourself grace. Do it afraid. False evidence appearing real. Stop comparing yourself to what's on this little computer. You're amazing. You're here. You bleed green. Make it happen.
Amen.